Month.
Brandon, can you provide?
Call this meeting to order. Notice of a regular meeting on June 9th, 2025 at 5 p.m. City Council Chamber, 3947 Lincoln Avenue, Groves, Texas. You'd all rise for the prayer and pledge, please.
Let us pray. Lord God, we thank you for all your many blessings. We thank you for a country that we can live in and not have to worry about being physically persecuted. Lord God, we come to you this evening and we ask that you give us your spirit and dwelling in us so that we might make the right decisions this evening. Lord God, please be with us and help us to be more like the Son each day. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that, sir. Honor. Item 4, roll call, city clerk.
Mayor Bourne,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Canitas, Councilmember McAdams,
Here.
Councilmember Holmes,
Here.
Councilmember Gay.
I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meetings. Item 6, reports. Manager.
No, sir.
All right. Item 7, any citizen comments?
I'll just start it.
Name and address, please.
My name is Dawn Buffington. I live at 3729 Franklin Avenue. And I'm here kind of, y'all heard from me at the last public hearing meeting. I have some notes. Can I give to y'all? Do y'all want a copy of what I'm gonna read?
Yes, ma'am, please.
And there's some signatures, if y'all just pass it down. We were here at I was here at the last public hearing for about the apartments. And I know there were some concerns that only one person stood up and spoke up. That was me. But that's because there were 5 people here from the neighborhood, but only nobody knew when to stand up or speak. They heard the 200 feet away and didn't know what that meant or anything, so they didn't know what to say. So since then, I talked to them, and I found out tonight y'all are gonna decide on it. So I did a door-to-door poll on Franklin Street, Boyd Street, and Lake Street, because I got the names off the website of who all got the letters about the apartments and how it might affect our neighborhood. And so to keep my mind straight, I'll just read y'all what they signed. You've got the letter and the signatures. We are writing to express our strong opposition to the proposed housing development in our neighborhood. While we understand the need for housing in our city, we believe that this project would have a detrimental impact on our community. First and foremost, the proposed development is simply too large for our area. The increase in population density would put a strain on our already overburdened infrastructure, leading to increased traffic congestion, noise pollution, and strain on our public services. The type of housing being proposed is simply not in keeping with the character of our neighborhood. This development would bring in many residents, which could lead to increased crime rates and other negative social effects. We are deeply concerned about the impact this development would have on property values in the area. The influx of residents could result in a decline in our property values, making it difficult for current residents to sell their homes and move elsewhere. Other concerns, we have heard that the property will be built up 5 feet, and that we're concerned that this will cause flooding, especially on Franklin, which is never flooded. It's not in a flood zone. I'm not sure about Boyd Lake or Terrell. We are also wondering if we have data that will support the need for a complex this big. Did we do a needs did y'all do a needs assessment or anything? And wanted to know what the occupancy rates of the other complexes and groves are. Again, and are they HUD apartments? Because we have a concern that these apartments will turn into HUD, even though they're designed as luxury. We believe that the residents will rent out these luxury apartments and they will not want their children going to Port Arthur schools, because on that side of the road, you go to Port Arthur, not Fort Nature's Groves. And another concern was, where are they gonna park? If you figure 2 cars per apartment, that's 400 plus cars. The flyer we were handed out at the last meeting showed windows in the back of the apartments, and these windows will be overlooking many backyards, so they will lose their privacy in these backyards. The 8 to 10 foot fence will not be tall enough to keep their privacy. We believe our property values will decrease with this large of a development. We believe crime will go up. Traffic, we've told there's 1 entrance and 1 exit. We believe that there's a little private street that goes by the ambulance place there. We believe they would use that as a shortcut to go through down to Franklin or go to Boyd the other way. They'll be there'll be more traffic trying to get from Walmart or to the shopping areas. And we believe our taxes will increase. We're not against a development going up there. We just don't want something that big. It's too big for this area. And I think that's it. Y'all have anything? My neighbors are here supporting me.
We all support her.
And they're all here. They came for the meeting because 90% of the people on that list did not understand what the apartment complex meant. They did not know where, and I had to show them the flyer and everything when I went door to door. I was showing them and everything I got off the website, I educated them on it. They said, no, we don't want this, because they they thought it was gonna be a VA home or a nursing home or something like to that level. And they were all for something like that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
Any other citizen comments? Name and address, please.
Patty Bearden. Maddie Bearden, 3701 Franklin Avenue. I just want to say, I'm one of the people who didn't understand at first what this was about. And I also want to say, I realize that the apartments are being advertised as luxury apartments. And I don't believe that this area has the income base to support that for any extended period of time. Farnham Park started out as luxury apartments, and they are now Section 8. Stonegate is the highest crime area, because the Avery Trace Apartments, which used to be Lamplighter, were luxury apartments, and now they're Section 8. I don't believe this area has the income base to support luxury apartments of this scope in this area. And I believe that inevitably, in order to fill the apartments, the only choice the builders will have, or the owners will have, is to apply to the government to make them Section 8. I live on the opposite side of Franklin from the houses that back that property, but I don't want to see I don't wanna see my neighborhood turn into what's happened to Avery Trace or what's happened to Stonegate out there. You can't walk around in broad daylight for fear of being shot. They're not even, people are not even waiting till dark. They're being shot and stabbed and whatever in broad daylight. And that's not why I came to this neighborhood. I came to this neighborhood because it was nice and peaceful and quiet. And my home is paid for. I don't wanna move. But I don't wanna live in the middle of Crime Central.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Name and address, sir.
Bill Harchie, 4105 Roosevelt. I retired 2010. And at that time I bought a golf cart. And have been driving it ever since, even though the regulations are not suitable for it. But that's the only recreation a lot of the older people in this town have. You know, they took away the golf course, which I didn't play golf, so we'll get away from that. But we ride around, look at the new houses being built and visit our grandkids and everything else, go to Dairy Queen. So we just need y'all to adopt either the state laws or Port Neches laws or Neyland laws on the golf carts, so we can drive them legally. The kids driving them underage, they need to be ticketed, or their parents, whichever, it doesn't matter to us.
Yep.
But for us legal people, let us drive. And I've got all the regs for the state, for Port Neches and Neyland if you want them, which you can get them off the internet also. So, that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Exactly on that.
Any other citizen comments?
Cherry Allen, 4535 Roosevelt Avenue. I'm concerned too about the golf cart issue. I'm 77, my wife's 82. We use my golf cart to go to the store, grocery store. And I do understand the reasoning why y'all adopted the state laws, which we haven't been enforcing in the past. That, and I know that you're concerned about the safety. If, you know, it needs to be licensed adults that drive these golf carts, and the golf carts need to be, safe. My golf cart has seat belts. It has 2 orange, placards. It has a panoramic, mirrors. It's got blinkers. It's got stop lights. It's got, everything that you could imagine. Is forced to make it safe for my wife and I. But, you know, if we do have children, and I'm really concerned about that are driving these things, especially during the summertime. Hey, we need to ticket them, ticket their parents. I can tell you as a parent myself with 5 children, that if I'd have got the ticket from my child, I would have turned around and, it would have stopped immediately. So I'd like for y'all to consider, like I said, to at least put some regulations on driving the golf cart if you do deem to allow those to be drove here in the groves. And like I said, I'm concerned about, I almost hit somebody the other day, and I don't know what they're called. They're little mini motor scooters about that tall, and I guarantee you that kid was doing 40 miles an hour and with no helmet, and I thought, man, you get hit, you're dead. And you know, that needs to stop, and I don't know how y'all feel about electric bicycles, but they travel 27 miles an hour, and it's the same thing. They ride without helmets, and they run stop signs, they don't stop. And I don't know what you call it either, those little, it used to be a scooter we do with our, well, now they got them electric, you know, and it's just a little bitty old thing with 2 4-inch wheels. Well, there needs to be a law, I mean, you know, for the safety of our children, that, and like I said, we that do drive vehicles from time to time, Like I said, I almost hit one the other day that, I didn't see them, they went by so fast. But anyway, I'd like for you to consider at least, maybe adapting the, state law a little different for the city of Groves, as Neil and then Port Arthur and, Port Neches has done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Name and address.
My name is Marlon Carter. I live at 4948 Bel Air. We bought our golf cart about a year ago. Our golf cart has lights, horn, brake lights, everything that pretty much the car does. The only thing it doesn't have is a license plate. But we take our two children, a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old on it, and we make sure they're seat belted and make sure they're with us all the time. There's no time where they allow us to touch it without us. But I would like to see y'all implement a regulation on it because we do take it for joyous intimacy with friends and family. It is a getaway for our escape. We take it to Market Basket, take it to a little small water park, splash park. But I don't want to just take that joy for them away. They enjoy that relaxation, and I appreciate that y'all do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments?
Yes, sir. My name is Mark Crouch. I live at 3148 Canal Avenue, Groves, Texas. I have been driving mine since 2087. That I have a 3-wheel E-Z-GO golf cart. For 4 years, I've had liability insurance from Progressive. Me and my dog been driving around for about a couple of years, and then finally, after the next couple of years after that, I was able to put lights, mirrors, reflectors, and everything else. And all we do is just ride around, go to the park, go to whenever the festival is around, and just putt around and things like that. Currently, right now, it's sitting in a shed because right now with the way the ordinance was last week or last month, I wasn't quite sure whether to continue working on it or to what will be going about. But if it does, like I say, I'm 62, we'll be going to 63 and do everything. And some people do sometimes say, we're not supposed to be on the road, but I stay far right on 2-lane roads or even on 1 lane, in around the roads of the streets and try to stay away from hard flow traffic. Don't really go down hard flow traffic because it's unsafe. But if there was a way or places, and also too, if that's taken away from us, then we would have to have I have a unicycle, but some of the road conditions, potholes. My street, 32nd Street, just filled up with asphalt every time. But the way how they do it and the way how I used to do it whenever I worked at St. Mary's is that you put oil tar down first, then asphalt. Because if they just fill it up, next thing you know, a couple of days later, it rains and cars go over it. 18-wheelers, trucks, or dump trucks. I have one that lives down my street, and it just makes potholes bigger and bigger. So I just wanted to let y'all know that I tried to say something last week, but I couldn't get through because it was pretty crowded people here last time. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments?
My name's Johnny Hunt, 6454 Madison in Groves. I'm kind of in the same boat as a lot of these other gentlemen in here. Bought a golf cart, but you drive it around town, had no problems, no issues. Do have a lot of 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds. I have a 15-year-old grandson wanted to drive it. I said, nope, till you get your driver's license, you cannot drive it. Will not allow any of my grandkids to drive it. I have 5 grandkids that would love to ride around my golf cart. That love to ride around on my golf cart. Just like these other gentlemen back here, I have seat belts, blinkers, I have license plates. It's fully insured, everything. It's just like a very regular vehicle. Only it's a golf cart. It only does 27 miles an hour. Never taken it on the highway, never been on any other street besides 35 mile an hour or less. The state of Texas allows us to drive it. on 35 mile an hour or less highways, roads, streets. I think the city of Grove should adopt that policy also.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Last call, citizen comments. Good. Okay, we'll move on. Item number 8. Deliberate and act to approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 city council meeting.
Make a motion, we deliberate and act to approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 city council meeting. Second the motion.
Motion and a second to deliberate and act and to approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 city council meeting. Do you have any questions? No questions. We'll vote on the motion. Councilmember Holmes.
Aye.
Councilmember McAdams.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 9, deliberate and act to approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 joint public hearing.
I'll make the motion, we deliberate and act to approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 joint public hearing. I'll say.
Motion and a second to deliberate and act to approve the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 joint public hearing. Do you have any questions? No questions. We'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Councilmember Holmes.
Aye.
Councilmember McAdams.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 10, receive the minutes of the May 27th, 2025 planning and zoning meeting. They're in the packet. And then item number 11, will receive the minutes of the June 2nd, 2025 planning and zoning meeting. They're also in the packet. Item number 12, hear the introduction and swearing in of the new deputy marshal. Marshal.
Mayor and council, thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to introduce, come on up here.
Yeah.
There he is. I was hoping he was here. I looked back, didn't see him. I said, it's gonna look really awkward. I really appreciate you this opportunity. I'm glad a lot of folks are here also to get to know Deputy John Becerra Silva. He has joined our department back in January. He actually took his TCO a little bit later than the other deputy that we introduced 2 weeks ago. Timing wasn't quite right, so we're super glad and very, very excited to have him here. I'd just like to read a little bio real quickly to introduce him. He joins our department with a strong commitment to service and a deep appreciation for community. He's actually moved here from New York. He relocated to Port Arthur at the age of 12 and has called the area home ever since. He and his family actually moved to Groves back in 2022. And he's driven by a desire to serve with integrity. He views his journey into law enforcement as one of the greatest achievements of his lifetime. He approaches this profession with humility, a willingness to take on challenges, and an eagerness to grow both personally and professionally. He is particularly passionate about one day pursuing a career with the FBI, focusing on crimes against individuals, crimes against persons. Outside of work, John values family above all else. He enjoys spending quality time with his loved ones. He also prioritizes health and wellness through regular workouts and outdoor activities. He's grateful for the opportunity to be here, and he's actually provided a statement that I'll read to you all. He says this: I believe this career is where I'm meant to be. With God's guidance, I plan to grow through every opportunity, face every challenge with purpose, and give back to the community that's brought so much joy to me and my family. So as part of this introduction, I'm going to have him, if you would, raise your right hand and take the oath of office for a deputy marshal here in Groves. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John Silva,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of deputy marshal
of the office of Deputy Marshal
for the city of Groves
for the city of Groves
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution,
the Constitution,
the laws of the United States,
the laws of the United States,
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And we believe you when you take that oath. We're very, very excited for your future, and thank you for being committed to law enforcement. Y'all would be-
Thank you all.
Congratulations and welcome to the team. Item number 13, deliberate and act on ordinance 2025-10, amending the code of ordinances, chapter 25, traffic to add item 9, temporary golf cart ordinance.
I make a motion, we deliberate and act on ordinance 2025-10, amending code of ordinances, chapter 25, traffic to add article 9, temporary golf cart ordinance.
I'll second.
Have a motion and second to deliberate and act on ordinance 2025-10, amending the code of ordinances, chapter 25, traffic to add article 9, temporary golf cart ordinance. On to questions, and I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna ask Marshall to correct me if I'm wrong, because we're gonna do a little history first. Just so everyone's clear. Groves has never had a golf cart ordinance allowing or prohibiting them, correct?
This is correct.
Only the state law that prohibited them was intact, correct?
Yes, sir.
There was an amendment, or there was an asterisk that said if you had a golf course, you could ride them to and from within 2 miles, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now that we don't have a golf course, it was time to go back to the law. So there was an ordinance needed in order to allow this, correct?
As soon as the golf course closed, yes, sir.
But it was never done.
No, sir.
And so now we're here today to get something to see where we can go with it.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we'll go on to the rest of it. It was never the intention or the desire of this council to outlaw golf carts in the city of Grove. It was our intention to have this ordinance written up so that we could allow the golf carts in Grove under special provisions. So we're going to talk about it, let everybody get their P's and Q's, and hopefully we'll vote on it. So now on to the rest of the questions. Mr. Holmes, I believe you, or Councilmember Holmes, I believe you had some.
Marshall, thank you for your time today. I have just reviewing our page one on here. Page-
There's a whole bunch of them.
There are a bunch of pages here.
Just looking at page 29.
Yes, sir.
Of the packet. So, essentially, this ordinance gives, provisions for owners to operate certain vehicles on our streets. Just looking to enforcement things here. Looking at line 165.
Yes, sir.
So law enforcement officers of the city are authorized to stop and inspect any vehicle suspect of violating the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about a license plate, liability insurance, licensed driver, those being three of the big things from the ordinance.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yeah, for section B, I mean, it would apply to any potential suspected violation inside this ordinance.
okay,
Yes, sir.
gotcha. So that was my main question. I just, wanted to make sure that you guys had the ability to enforce and monitor folks and ensure they're following those. If we decide to pass this ordinance on.
Yes, sir.
You've done a pretty good job, I believe, with the communication between some other people here as well, defining what and what isn't prohibited or allowed or prohibited. But along with everything that is allowed,
Yes, sir.
all traffic codes, ordinances, laws, everything that is in place to be a driver is going to have to be followed, correct?
Yes, sir. If it passes as it is.
So let's say my golf cart doesn't have blinkers and I am traveling and I make a turn. If I don't signal, am I in violation?
If you signal with your arms, you're great. If you don't signal at any time, there would be a potential violation.
Okay. The license plate can be obtained through the county tax appraiser's office?
That's correct. Tax assessor collector's office.
Tax assessor collector's office, sorry. And the liability insurance, I'm sure most people already have that anyway.
Correct.
Of
course, with that, you have the ability to meet the minimums required by the state of Texas or to exceed to the level you're comfortable.
Okay. The thought process into getting this ordinance put together as quickly as it was to hear everyone that was concerned with not being able to enjoy a piece of equipment that they purchased. at a later time, we can look at potentially adding to it, subtracting to it, whatever. I feel like I've done a pretty good job, especially on a temporary thing. Everything that's in this can be done within a day. And then they're back on the roads with licensed drivers following all the rules.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so from what I'm reading and understanding, I'm just trying to go through it. It's not only for golf carts, it's for UTVs and ROVs. Can you explain that?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So what we see a lot today, because from the enforcement perspective, the safety perspective, our police department here in Groves, we've seen golf carts, we've certainly seen some mini bikes and things of that nature. One thing that we have seen some confusion on is what is a UTV? And, this thing I'm riding has more safety features than a golf cart, so why can't I operate this on a roadway? And so for specifically the description of a UTV and what we've had to try to define in this ordinance particularly, that's kind of what you see, a lot of sporting events when you're watching, let's say, professional sports. You see somebody injured, you see a cart, it's a side by side, you see two seats side by side, it's not straddling, it's like a bench with a cargo area on the back. Those actually have a built-in speed limit, if you will, not to exceed a certain speed. And those do have seat belts and safety features. So we wanted to explore, hey, look, we are seeing a lot of these right now. Let's see about maybe including that in that ordinance.
So that's a UTV.
That's a UTV.
ROV.
So, and utility tasked vehicles, what that stands for. And we do have some vehicles to display on the PowerPoint here. So with ROV stands for a recreational off-highway vehicle, and it varies a lot more than something like a UTV would. With a utility task force's primary purpose is to do work, whether that's loading a bunch of equipment and moving it to another location, whether that's following pipelines or utility lines or something like that. That's kind of its primary function in its establishment and manufacturing. For an ROV, it can vary in a lot of different ways as well, like off-road trails, beaches, things of that nature. But when you look at a contraption like this one here, listed on the display, it's really similar to a side-by-side. It does have some storage in the back, but it has all the safety features that, again, folks would say, well, look, it's got more features and safety mechanisms than my golf cart does. Why wouldn't I be able to ride something like this? And so we explored that, and we wanted to define those, list them here, and then apply some other sections that would still make them safe and appropriate, like restricting who can drive them, restricting how you ride in them. If a seat has a seat belt, you're required to utilize that seat belt. People can't sit in each other's laps. You sit in the seat as the manufacturer's designed it. So that's the difference between those UTVs and ROVs. ROVs are designed for off-road use. And these particularly do not have a speedometer that gauges or limits its speed. Well, obviously it'll have a maximum, but these could in theory speed down our streets.
Okay, so golf carts, UTVs and ROVs will be
under this ordinance
Under
as
this
it
ordinance.
fits. Correct.
Okay, and so that counts out mini bikes, counts out e-bikes.
Yes, sir. If you look specifically at section 25-205, that starts on line 86. And I'm sorry, I keep hearing this microphone coming in and out. You all still hear me back there? That's on page 27 of the printout itself. Starting at line 86. There we have it.
I don't expect you to read it.
That's okay.
But, yeah.
That way everyone can see it also.
Just trying to get everybody.
Yes, sir. The last sentence of that section defines what's not included in the ordinance and
Okay. All right, so requirements would be driver's license, license plate, insurance, compliance with traffic laws, lighting for the vehicles, passenger limit for whatever they're manufactured to carry.
Yes, sir.
Seat belts, intersection crossing right of way. Pretty much the rest of it's just observing everyday laws.
Yes, sir.
Let's go with, let's just make sure. There was restrictions for the e-bikes. That were in the previous one we talked about.
Oh, okay.
That were the state rules, class 1 and 2. was no age restriction, and class 3 was, I believe 15 years and older
And
with a helmet.
helmet, that's correct. And
Okay.
those are established elsewhere in
Okay,
state
so those
statute.
are legal.
That's
So
right. Those
it's not
are-
addressed in here,
Correct,
but what is being addressed is mini bikes.
correct.
Mini bikes, dirt bikes, 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers.
That's correct.
Don't do it.
Do not do it.
Okay.
The e-bikes are okay.
Say that one more time.
Following the rules.
E-bikes are okay.
E-bikes, yes, sir. Those, the different state statute allows for those. Under the, it basically, they follow the same requirements of the bicycle rider. Say for what, the mayor just described in class 3.
And provided this, I'm sorry, and provided this is voted through today, does this go into effect immediately, or is there a grace period?
I certainly wouldn't want to speak for you folks. With the way that it is written, if we saw unsafe behavior, we'd be able to address it right away. And that's the last thing that I would want to limit at this time.
Sure.
You know, obviously with our ticket writers.
I'm just trying to get everybody's
purposes.
questions answered.
I completely understand that. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you do have. There will be some adjustments that we'll need to do in our system. You know, there will be statistics that start being now that this is legal. How many violations are we having? If there are wrecks, which the ordinance requires that you do report, where are they happening and how often? So there'll be a few things in our computer systems and software we'll need to utilize to track that data so that we have good feedback to give you folks when we explore a more permanent solution.
If this is passed tonight, you're saying there will be somewhat of a grace period for compliance as far as the regulatory rules, but not the safety part of it.
I'd agree with that, yes, sir.
And then along with that, if this was to be passed, I would say that we make sure that this is posted and so that everyone has an opportunity to see it. Website, wherever, Facebook. I mean, I'm not gonna do it, but Facebook, someone else can post it. YouTube, if y'all wish, it doesn't matter. Wherever you get your news from, would be a good place to make this available to everyone.
Mr. Vaughn, wouldn't it become effective after publication?
Correct.
What is that?
It would be Thursday.
Thursday. Very good.
2 more days.
Marshall, I just wanted to
Yes, sir.
highlight, as far as operational requirements, many citizens are talking about what safety gear they have on theirs. This ordinance has a requirement for lighting when it's operated at night.
Correct.
That's the headlights, the taillights, side reflectors, rearview mirror, and a slow moving vehicle emblem. So if you have that piece of equipment that's operated at night, it needs that gear on there. Is that the way I understand this?
That's how it's written here under lighting specifically.
After sunset.
I would certainly argue that, and there's maybe an adjustment that is needed as we look through this. If the only thing that is, documenting what equipment should be mandated, day or night, I think the slow moving vehicle, icon should still be posted on the back of that vehicle. I would still recommend a rear view mirror also be utilized outside of just nighttime hours. When it comes to headlamps, tail lamps, those wouldn't necessarily be required unless the evening hours come about. But reflectors, obviously, at any time of the day are beneficial.
I believe wording can be adjusted further down the
I think that
summer,
would be the way to go.
but I think the way it is right now, it can be applied
Yes, sir.
generally.
Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we have that specific to sunset so that, you know, someone's not investing a lot of money in the vehicle right now.
Yes, sir. As written, it applies only to number 5, correct?
Any other questions? No other questions? We'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Councilmember Holmes,
Aye.
Councilmember McAdams.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Well, I've been waiting, I've given y'all a chance.
Item 14, deliberate and act on ordinance 2025-11, authorizing the specific use permit for apartments at 5539th Street.
Make a motion, we deliberate and act on ordinance 2025-11.
Second that motion.
Have a motion and a second, deliberate and act on ordinance 2025-11. authorizing a specific use permit for apartments at 5539th Street. On the question. Okay. Mr. Smith, hey, look, we can utilize, unfortunately, Ray's not here tonight, so we can utilize her area, so we don't have to block anybody's view. Well, I didn't say he was thinking about it before we got there.
There you go. That's just a little bit of footprints.
I don't know if some of y'all wasn't here last week, I had these pamphlets, do any of y'all want some of those?
Thank you.
I'll get started. Mr. LaCouey with the planning and zoning, has Mr. Smith, satisfied all the requirements of the planning and zoning at this time?
Yes, sir. We had a meeting last Monday night with Mr. Smith and his engineer showed up at his site plan. We discussed many issues, according to the ordinance and even beyond the ordinance, green space, parking, fire protection, utility issues, fencing, traffic flow. Some of them, that's not a total list. The only question unanswered was the section 10-903 of the ordinance, which was the footprint of the buildings cannot exceed 30% of the acreage of plot. They didn't have the answer at that meeting, but the next day, Mr. Mitchell emailed Don Petraza, the building inspector, with the figure to show that comes in at 28%, which is obviously below the 30% threshold, and that's the only issue that the planning and zoning had. So that question's been answered.
Okay, thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Monk, I believe, let's see, I had a question for you. Oh, this being a specific use permit, being that this is for a multifamily dwelling, is this still going to be required to be renewed yearly?
This is not yearly.
This one is not yearly.
Correct.
This is a one-time specific use. It does not follow the same as some of the other ones we have that are yearly. Okay. Mr. Smith, I know that your intent is to have luxury apartments. I've heard some of the concerns that have been brought up. That has also been some of the concerns of the council as well. Mr. Monk, we kind of asked you to see if there were any provisions that we could safety ourselves. Have you found anything that we would be able to do?
We talked about the restrictions with Mr. Smith's council, potentially restricting this HUD situation for the city. And ultimately, Mr. Smith's council was concerned about the potential liability associated with discrimination for that, and he was opposed to it, but we did look at that issue with his council.
Okay. Short answer, no.
Correct.
They're not speaking loud enough for us to hear. But for me to hear anybody.
Okay.
May have been my mic, I'm sorry, I'll show you just there. So ultimately, the answer is we did explore this idea of restricting for Section 8 housing, and there was concerns about liability from the property owner and their council, and we felt we could not go that direction for the city.
Okay, thank you. Got anything? I had Mr. Lamar, Mr. Osley, and city manager, Mr. Cruz, go through some numbers for us. The 2016 JCAD annual income for that property was $6,491 a year. It has since dropped to a whopping $1,734 a year. with estimated value. With the developer estimate, the city estimates for everything, trash, sales tax and everything. This project, it has a potential of $377,000 of income for this city. So now a little bit of a history. Since before I got on this council in 2018, one of the main concerns of this city was, what are we gonna do with the old hospital? And the answer has always been, the city does not own the hospital. We can't do anything with it. We also do not have the money to tear it down, to be forced to do anything with it. Before the hospital, it was the bank, or the First Bank and Trust building. Again, city didn't own it. We couldn't do it. We couldn't tear it down. Now, in a time when our city needs financial help to get where we want to be, we have a developer that has come in, brought forth the money to tear it down and build something that gives substantial income to this city. We've heard from Public Works that infrastructure will not be hindered. The traffic pattern, the engineer that worked on this project has worked on for the city projects as well. He understands that drainage cannot be forced to adjoining properties. And so until anybody else has any questions, I understand that there's people that live next to it that have concerns. 17,000 people in this city want their streets fixed, and this is a good start to get there.
They don't live there. They don't live behind it.
Everybody's want it torn down, and they're willing to do it. I am for this project. I speak for it, and I hope the rest of my council is approving it as well.
Would you want it in your, would you want your
backyard?
Oh.
Your front yard?
Sure.
Oh, you would like high-rise apartments?
They're not high rise, they're 2-story.
Look, looking into your backyard?
I have a 2-story house looking into my backyard that doesn't violate any city ordinances.
And if it's built, when the traffic does get worse and little kids on our street can't play out by the road because the traffic's bad, who do we complain to about that? And
TxDOT. TxDOT owns a feeder roads.
well, that's not, yeah, well, some people are tearing them up. So we have no say so.
Could I ask something or am I out of order?
If you have a question,
Well, I don't live on Franklin, but I understand what they feel like, 2-story, looking in your backyard or your home. Could it be designed where there's no windows that face out onto Franklin?
I believe it's a safety issue for 2nd-story apartments. You can't just not have a window.
Well,
You have to have an egress point.
No windows other than by the front door. There are windows. So I don't know if I'm bringing up something that would just,
It's a building code requirement.
it's what,
It's a building code requirement
or apartments.
for housing.
Mayor, I'd like to say that, you know, I've talked with the developer several times, about their intents for the property and, understanding that the other folks that, you know, is joining in this venture, they're already doing quality, thoughtful other developments around the city. And, so my consideration with that, you know, where we go with this is based off of the whole history of those persons.
Can I have something to say?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, at the end of our street, that little start street, you know, that cuts through to Franklin there, where the ambulance company is.
I believe the developers own that too. I believe the intent is to block it off, right?
But the out is going out on the freeway. People that want to go to Walmart or to HEB, they're gonna have to go all the way around. So they're gonna use that little short street, and that's gonna be traffic up and down our street. And the lady that owns that is not for this. Me, I've lived at that house since 1972. And I fear for myself, because I live alone. And my house backs up to Dumas. And putting up an 8-foot fence is not going to secure it. People looking in my backyard. Because in the evening, after it starts getting cooler, I sit out on my back porch and play with my cats. I don't feel like it's my right it's been taken away from me, my privacy. I've been having windows or whatever that they can look into my backyard. That's my privacy that's been invaded, and I'm not for it. And I think that we need to take consideration of us, what it's gonna do to us. I know you looking for the money, the 377, whatever money that is. I understand that to fix roads or whatever, but we individuals, we pay our taxes as well. So, and it's not fair to us.
Sam, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tara Ernie, and I work with the developers that are working on this project. I hear what all of you are saying, but I live alone as well, so I understand that. But I also understand how we've done business with our RV park as well. We screen our residents, we do background checks, we make sure we're bringing upstanding, hardworking citizens to Groves because we care about Groves. That's why we've decided to bring that project here, to help Groves grow, because it's growing when we want it to or not. There's going to be 30,000 people here in the next 5 years. Is Groves going to get a piece of that pie to help improve your water, improve your streets, improve things for you, the city services that they offer? We're trying to help to be a part of that. I know sometimes growing hurts, but we will do everything we can to make this as comfortable as possible. Thank you.
Don't ask this. I understand what she's saying. She needs to move where we live and have to experience what's fixing to happen on her.
I live in Orange and I have the same situation where
You need to move where we are and experience what we are.
I understand.
You know, everybody on our street, it's not young kids, it's all elderly families. And we're here for our safety. We don't think that this is right for us to have to deal with this kind of thing. And I'm speaking for myself, but my daughter works for a major ambulance company, and this is going to impact them as well.
Has anything ever been considered on a lower scale, smaller scale?
We don't own the property.
Oh, I mean, for the builder, how about for the builder? Can I ask the builder that question? Have you ever thought about making it half that size, 1 story? Why not?
It's not cost effective.
Why did we not have a say what goes on in our neighborhood?
It's not cost effective.
Yeah, I did.
Well, you can buy all our houses in and build it.
Yeah, we want to build every one of our homes.
You don't have to answer that.
I totally understand your concerns, but I have to agree with the mayor and Councilman Holmes. This city needs that income. Our infrastructure, part of our infrastructure is failing. And we need that income. I'm just gonna be point blank, I'm gonna lay it on the line, we need.
But why
At
should
the
we
risk of
have to
us.
suffer?
Ma'am, I'm not trying to disagree with you by any means. But I will say that there are homes in Groves that have 2-story homes next to them, where windows overlook backyards. I understand that's not what you bought. But there are homes in Groves that are like that. And I'm not trying to be crude or rude or inconsiderate, but the city needs this.
I realize that you need to make some repair the streets and impact, but we are the one that's gonna have to deal with whatever goes on in that apartment.
Our decision is gonna be based on what's best for the entire city.
Right.
17,000 people. Yes, ma'am.
Brady, spoken for already?
No.
You see?
No, no.
Was there a marketing analysis done to determine that this would be financially feasible?
Yes, sir.
And what potentially would happen if occupancy dropped below a certain percentage for an extended period of time?
Well, we're the ones that own it, you know, so it's not the government that owns it, you know, so we're the ones putting the money up for it and everything. So,
So what you're telling us, the citizens of Groves, is that you're willing to come out of your pocket to
Yes, ma'am.
maintain luxury apartments and not have government subsidy if occupancy
No.
drops?
these would be nice apartments, it's something you wanna live, the working people wanna live, they do.
Farm,
People that work.
nice apartments, they have fireplaces. I don't have fireplace in my house.
So,
And some of those apartments are bigger than my house, so they're still government housing.
Yeah.
They started out as luxury apartments. People in this area cannot afford them. I've been a registered nurse for 35 years. 35 years. I can't afford $1,600 a month. My house note was never that high. So my question is, what guarantee do the citizens of Groves have that if occupancy drops, we will not suddenly find ourselves living next door to government apartments?
Not gonna be it.
Yes.
Not gonna be.
Smitty,
It's not gonna be.
Smitty,
$1,700.
Mr. Smith. Sarah.
Smitty, ma'am, I understand your concern about the population falling off and going back to falling on to HUD housing. But that is not the projection for this growth in this area. It's not what we want for this apartment complex. And the owners make that decision. And they're not gonna do it. This is not the only apartment complex we're building, and they will not be HUD. That has been said from start to finish,
And I'm assuming.
and the market is allowing it. There's,
Said in here is a matter of record.
there is.
Yeah, everything's being recorded as we speak.
There is 2 and 3 bedroom houses in Groves right now that I know are for rent between $1,400 and $1,600 a month, and they're getting it all day, every day. That are not near as nice as these are gonna be.
I have grandchildren and I have no desire for them to play outside across the street from crime.
I know you're fearing the unknown, but I would ask you to have a little faith.
Hey, Warren, what about the old Pease Elementary School lot over there? Is that? speak on it?
That is not on this agenda.
No, I was just curious. if
Yeah,
that was like-
not gonna happen.
Looking at also.
Yes, ma'am.
Right now, I think I could get my home for 160, 180. After this is built, nobody's gonna buy my house. I promise you, I know, no one will buy my house. It's got that, I promise. And God forbid, I have nothing against this man, nothing. But God forbid something happened to him. 2 years, 3 years down, they call somebody upstate, turn it into HUD.
The other owners are local as well.
Yes.
Everybody's local.
Everybody's
Out of New
like,
York, California, we're out here, all over.
You told me last time we were here, you were gonna come up by and meet with all the homeowners. We're still waiting on that meeting.
I gotta get it approved first.
So it's gonna be built up. So many inches back.
That's the old hospital we're looking at for the last 15 years.
Right.
ma'am, when drainage plans are designed for any kind of structure, as you probably see on the storage buildings that we're working on in front of the RV's Park on the access road. When you build up, the drainage plans underneath force you to put a drainage pond or pipe big enough to hold the water to keep from affecting any property around you. That is how the engineer designs those plans. So what we build up is not gonna affect your land because we contain it within our area. That's the law. That's the way it has to be, that's
The
the
building
way,
code requires
yes,
that any development cannot shed more water onto a building's property more than what's already been shed.
yes,
That's part of the plan review when they submit their
yes.
construction documents.
And we've gotta go by rain calculations from Harvey, so I think we're covered. I think we're covered.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're covered.
Definitely.
They're still talking. Hold on. Okay, now go ahead.
172. Harvey never, my home has never flooded. They're building that up. All this water's gonna, if we have a severe storm, that water's gonna drain on our street.
No, ma'am.
They just told you they have an engineering plan to get rid of the water based on Harvey waterfall.
Underneath all of this
Our drain.
is drainage plan that with calculated engineered numbers of how many gallons of water can be contained in the pipe, in the road, anywhere on this piece of property and not affect anything around it.
It's less than what the hospital was gonna be, too.
Yeah, but what if it's another massive like Harvey?
Did you flood during Harvey? Most of the hospital is concrete. So all they're gonna do is improve the drainage of the hospital. So if you didn't flood during Harvey, and they're gonna make it better, stands to reason it's not gonna be worse the next time.
If we've had trouble with the drainage at the hospital because it hasn't been kept up and it's all full of leaves and stuff. We've had to go out there and.
Mr. Smith wants to fix that.
Hang in there, sweetie, we're coming.
Trying to get it.
If we do get water in our yard, we do get water, if it's bad, we'll get it up in our patio. Because it comes from the hospital, no drainage in that parking lot.
Has everything stopped up?
Right.
It hasn't been maintained.
We had parking area next to us, so we got all that draining on. So I hope that it gets improved.
It's gonna be improved, baby, you'll see.
Like they do.
Now, if I could, put my planning hat on, this property as it currently is, there's not enough highway frontage for this to be a viable retail property. You've just got a very narrow frontage there, so it's deep. It's not gonna be retail. There is no market for office park in this area, so you can't turn this into a, one-story office park of some kind because the market's not gonna support it. So you say, okay, well, let's make it a single family residential. You've got the two hospital buildings that are there that have asbestos. What Mr. Smith has in his development plan calls for I believe it's $500,000.
Oh, yeah.
And that's only because the owners have one of their businesses is remediation. They can do it a whole lot cheaper than anybody else. But if another developer goes in there and has to remediate both of those buildings with asbestos, they're looking at easily $1 million+ in development costs that has to be factored into however many single family houses can be put on that property. That alone will kill the kind of single family project. In fact, Mr. Smith looked at doing
For the
that
elderly,
initially.
I was trying to do it for the elderly, build houses nothing but for $50,000 for the baby boomers like me.
Mhm.
The money wasn't there, you just couldn't do it, I was trying so hard to do it because I just felt that there's a need for it.
We tried to, I know,
And you just did
First-
that's kind of the only way, anything you put there, didn't want the hotel, tried that, I mean. Really, that's all we can do, is nice apartments, luxury apartments, for people to live in, nice place, get it secured, fenced in, real nice, security 24 hours. That would be nice, but
and as the mayor said, the city doesn't have the money to go in there and force the issue and demolish it. So what's sitting behind your rear fences right now at your homes is not only is it an eyesore, but there's criminal activity going on right there right now. So when you're in your backyard in the spring with your cats, you don't know what's going on in those buildings back there. It's not good stuff.
Those are scared, never, that unit that's right there, there was a man standing on top of the roof there,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
you know.
So right now, it's attracting two-legged and four-legged vermin,
Yeah.
no-legged vermin, snakes.
That's the thing. Good call.
I opened my back patio door and there was a raccoon this big with the head this big with his paws up on my door in my window.
Mr. Smith, in your proposal, I believe you said something about site security. Is that
Yeah,
full-time site
Yeah.
security?
that's what we're planning.
Okay.
Cameras as well.
Everything, bunch of them. But we gotta figure out how to do that too when we do our drawings because of the neighbors. That's real important too.
Okay. Council, any other questions?
I have not.
Councilmember Holmes? All right. Being no other questions, we'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Councilmember Holmes?
Aye.
Councilmember McAdams?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank
you.
Item 15, deliberate and act on the June 9th, 2025 invoice list.
I'll make a motion to deliberate and act on the June 9th, 2025 invoices.
In my paper, right? No, it's this one. It's not a sheet. Oh, here it is. Hang on. You got something? Have a motion and a second to deliberate and act on the June 9th, 2025 invoice list. On the questions,
Mayor, council, just for items.
hold on a second. Please be quiet.
Just 4 items on the list for tonight. First one is to Brentech Southwest for sodium hydroxide water plant, $7,634.91. Tracks Freights Construction, concrete and curb replacement at City Hall, $8,500. That's out here at the end of the parking lot. Republic Services for commercial dumpster pickup in May, $10,245.15. And then Soutex Surveyors, engineering services for the engineering work of bottleneck, sewer bottleneck on 25th Street. It's $32,500 for a total of $58,880.06.
Any questions? Is anybody here from the water, or is Lamar here? Oh,
Got Glenn here too.
Glenn's here.
Glenn's. They're on.
It just, oh, he's not gonna know.
He might.
He wasn't here. Glenn, I'm just curious if you had any idea how much the sodium hydroxide has gone up in the last 5 years?
No.
Since you've only been here like 8 months.
I can't tell you on that, but I can find out.
I would be curious I'd be curious to see what the average cost increase of the chemicals we were required to buy is over the last 5 to 10 years. Other than that, I don't have any other questions.
I know it's fewer and far between for what vendors are available as well.
Yeah. No other questions, vote on the motion, Mayor votes aye. Councilmember Holmes?
Aye.
Councilmember McAdams?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 16, councilmember comments. I know most of them already left, but this is being recorded, so I'll go ahead and tell you that. This was not an easy decision for myself, or I would imagine anybody else on council. Matter of fact, my first instinct was to say absolutely not. For fear of what had happened and why the ordinance for no multifamily was put in back in, I believe, 2005, 2006. But through my research and communicating with Mr. Smith and our city manager, we don't always get to make exciting decisions that everybody jumps for joy. But I believe this is one that was required, and it's gonna make some people mad. I understand that. But I believe it is for the betterment of this city, and I will continue to make hard decisions And I know I'm gonna make people mad, and that's okay, because I think this was best. As far as the golf carts go, got a lot of emails, a lot of calls,
But
we just needed time. We didn't have another meeting before today, or it would have been done before today, so thank y'all for being patient with us somewhat. And thank y'all for putting your confidence in us to do the best job that we can. And we'll continue to listen to you and try to make the tough decision.
When will this start?
This is not the time for that.
Oh, okay.
Councilmember comments? No other comments? We'll adjourn this meeting.
Hung out the new logo.
If I recognized it when I got in here. Would everybody look at the new logo behind? Y'all been staring at it all night. All I see is a bright blue clock because of Councilmember Canitas. It's beautiful. I'm glad we got it updated. The design team did a great job. It's on all my papers, so that works out. So, no other questions, no other comments. We will adjourn at 6:09. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for the meeting. Thank you.
How are you? Hey, thanks for responding so quickly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's in my